I guess I would consider myself an abductee. As a child, I had experiences of being abducted. I would lie awake in my bed all night in a state of hypervigilance, trying to observe the bedroom door, closet door, windows, and walls all around me at once, until I exhausted myself to sleep. I have various memories of the little grey aliens grabbing me by the wrist to lead me around places outside of my bedroom. Wherever they took me, it was nothing resembling a ship or anything, just a plain room. They'd count my spine, running their fingers up each vertebrae on my back, and to my child's mind they were counting them. They'd also enter my room through the walls and so on. I'm terribly afraid of needles, and I'm always worried that the nurse is going to touch the bone of my arm with the needle. The small grey ones are about as tall as toddlers, 3 foot I suppose, classic grey, large heads, big insect eyes. Their torso and limbs are very slender, and you have difficulty figuring out how they stand and walk upright carrying that large head. Their fingers are very long, and the long fingers and the eyes are the creepiest things about them. Being with them is like being in the same room as a very creepy doll or mannequin, except they move around and are alive. They have a very disturbing vibe about them. Their skin is grey and seems not to be flesh. It looks like it's made out of construction putty or something like that. They have no wrinkles and no musculature. Their skin doesn't wrinkle when they move, and you can't see muscles flexing or anything like that. They don't seem to have any personality or will. They're just like drones or something. I imagine that they probably stand in a closet when they're not working, but they still seem to be organic. They're not machines or robots. That skin and those eyes are their real skin and eyes, not a spacesuit or a helmet. I also have memories of a big grey alien, perhaps 6 feet tall, who I'd be brought to after the little guys were done with me. She definitely had a personality and a sense of presence about her. Her skin seemed to have more features. She wasn't just putty like the little guys. Don't know how I thought she was female, but perhaps her features were more slender. She would look into my eyes with her large eyes, and she could see all of my thoughts. I could sense her in my head. She would say things to me, clearly as an attempt to get me to believe them or buy into them. I could recognise them as not being my thoughts, but she didn't seem to care. Trying to push her against her will is like pushing a car in neutral when it's coming down an incline. The car pushes you instead. Having her in my mind is a very disempowering experience, and I would almost liken it to rape, but I don't know what rape really is like, and I imagine it's way worse. But I'm trying to give you an idea of what it's like. It's not cool or fun at all. Someone else is in your innermost sanctum, your own mind and thoughts, and you didn't invite them. You don't want them there, and they're just doing whatever the hell they want. At various times she told me telepathically, don't make too much trash, or people will get sick, and stop cutting down so many trees. She also told me, we're very grateful for your help. You're a big help to us in our project, and don't tell other people about us because they can't see us and they will only get upset. She tried to make me feel positive about being there, but I wasn't having any of it. I only wanted them to take me back home. I had no idea where I was. It's like when you're a kid and a teacher tries to encourage you for doing something you don't want to do, like sweeping the floor or picking up after yourself. You did a great job sweeping, you're such a big help. You don't give a shit about helping the teacher, you just want to go and play or whatever. Well, I didn't care what the big alien was saying, I just wanted to go home. They never told me any secrets of the universe, and I've never had any hybrid alien or non-grey experience. I've had sleep paralysis experiences, and to me, these are different. Just like a dream is different from a nightmare, and a nightmare is different from sleep paralysis. In sleep paralysis, I have a dream or nightmare about a physical presence that is hostile or angry, and is restraining me or physically accosting me. I panic for a few moments, find that I can't move, and then I jerk myself awake. Once I'm awake, it fades away quickly. Just like a nightmare becomes not so real when you wake up. With alien abductions, I don't find myself knowing that they've happened. I just wake up feeling like complete shit, maybe several days in a row, and I might have daydreams about aliens or remembering scenes from alien abduction shows. Sometimes, I wake up in the early morning with the sense that they just left. I won't be able to sleep for hours, and I'll be very aware and afraid of doors and windows. I'm a grown man, and when this happens, I'm not able to fall back to sleep for at least an hour. As a kid, I remember finding an alien abduction book in the library, and it was like a door had been unlocked. My mum took us to McDonald's afterwards, and I finished the book there. I couldn't put it down, and for the next 3 days I was in shock. It was like confirmation that they were real, that other people did know about them, and that I was really never safe from them. After that, as a teenager, I got my hands on all the alien abduction books and shows I could find. They scared the shit out of me, but I had to keep reading them. I have strong opinions regarding the depictions of grey aliens, and there are some I consider to be very accurate, while others seem like a stylized interpretation by someone who has never seen them. Basically, the more realistic or human they look, with facial features such as cheeks, septum, nose, wrinkles, under the skin musculature, the less authentic it seems to me. Also, the eyes may be completely insectoid, wrapping around the sides, not forward-facing or oval like a human's. I suppose a wasp or a mantis has the most alien-like eyes out of all the insects. There are certain cats I've seen that seem to have alien-shaped eyes as well. In my 20s, I started seeing a therapist. I have depression, and during some really intense sessions, I recalled the memories of the aliens, the specific memories I outlined about. I don't believe the memories were blocked or anything, I just never dared ever to recall them, because the whole thing is so terrifying. I believe it's a form of PTSD. It really does interfere with your sleep and mood. After that session, I was shaking so badly the therapist wasn't going to release me to let me drive. She had to walk me through breathing exercises to get me to calm down. If I was someone other than myself, I would be completely skeptical and conclude that the alien abduction experience is just another type of sleep paralysis, or that reading too many scary alien books will corrupt your mind, or that it's a cover memory for sexual abuse. But why would you dream up aliens? They're as small as toddlers and frail looking. They never touched me sexually anyways. But me having had the experiences I had, I just can't believe it. Even if they devise an experiment where they hook people up to machines and have brainwaves proving that certain types of sleep paralysis are the alien abduction phenomenon, I would still believe they were somehow real, because the experiences feel real, even after you wake up, not like a dream, nightmare, or sleep paralysis. I don't believe that aliens are organic creatures that evolved on another planet and fly here in advanced ships. The physics of faster than light travel just doesn't work. The only explanation I can come up with is that either they are creatures that can travel interdimensionally, perhaps they come from another dimension themselves, or they exist as independent entities in human consciousness. I know both of those are too crazy to really be explanations, but to me, those creatures are more than nightmares. I know that on a logical level this is some kind of nightmare or brain disturbance, but let me tell you, the people that suffer from this really do suffer. Some people made up a name for this: post-abduction disorder. They aren't trying to say that abductions are real, but just trying to help people who suffer from this. Of course, it's not taken very seriously, and I understand why. But I do wish sufferers could talk more freely about it, without fear of ridicule or dismissal. I know this may sound completely crazy to people who haven't suffered through it. This is the most I've ever told anyone about it, really. I'm not interested in going to any groups or anything. My suspicion is that they are convinced there's a government cover-up. I'm not interested in conspiracy theories. In response to one of the commenters, Kill Poverty, asking, "Suppose these experiences were real, why do you think they're doing this?" the OP throwaway abductee replies with, "I guess I have to say honestly, I have no idea, and I don't think anybody can guess. I feel they are more advanced than we are, and us trying to figure it out would be like a wolf trying to understand why it had been darted and tagged. The wolf would probably think it had something to do with hunting or sense, because their lives revolve around hunting and sniffing things. If a wolf thought that, you might argue in the most basic sense it was right. Tracking is kind of hunting it, but it's not specific or sophisticated enough to be right. I'm not going to hunt it down to eat one day. To me, the closest thing I can relate to is the same reason we tag and track wild animals like apes or whales. They seem to be interested in us biologically. My best guess is that they are just field biologists, observing a sentient being as something like themselves. But I really don't know. I don't feel like they ever leveled with me or explained anything to me. As far as my experiences are concerned, they don't seem to be interested in meeting us at our level. They're just manipulating us for whatever interest they have. I guess this answer is informed by my personal experiences and all of the abduction media I've consumed. I really don't know why they would do this, but when I watch a nature documentary where a helicopter darts a wolf and they tag the animal, I think, I totally know what that is like. So that's just my human interpretation of whatever the hell they are doing. 2010, Los Angeles, California. I was cleaning up around my apartment when I noticed my kitchen lamp swinging and my building rocking. Obviously, earthquake. It lasted for a bit and I called my friend to make sure she was okay. As we were chatting, I was standing out on my balcony which overlooks Runyon Canyon, a popular hiking trail. I suddenly noticed this object hovering high in between the mountains. It was way too high to be a helicopter and too small and low to be a plane. What made it super strange was its shape and lack of movement. It was orb-esque and stood stagnant for about a solid 3 minutes before moving at a snail's pace to the west. I'm talking slower than any aircraft, blimp, kite, whatever that I've ever seen. It also seemed to reflect off the sun, but only at some angles. I grabbed my crappy digital camera and tried to capture it as best as I could. After moving towards the left, and then once again staying completely still, it immediately darted at what seemed like an impossible speed in the opposite direction, upwards, and disappeared. Plain old man-made, government or other, it was one of the weirdest, best sightings I've ever experienced, especially since it was in broad daylight. When I looked through the pictures, I thought I got nothing, but after zooming in, I noticed the object showed up in 3. I don't have Photoshop or anything, so it's not the clearest quality, but hey, still neat. Back in spring of 1997, a group of us neighbourhood kids were looking up at the night sky, observing the Hale-Bopp comet. I grew up hours from any major city, so the view was pretty clear. After a while, we started to notice a red and white dot circling around each other, making sudden movements in every direction. It was like no aircraft I've ever seen, or have ever seen since. At a certain point, they merged into one craft and then shot out into 3 smaller crafts. Although, we couldn't tell exactly whether it was an aircraft or not, because there just appeared to be balls of light. This went on for a couple of hours. Right before the lights disappeared, they accelerated at lightning fast speed into the darkness. We all went home terrified of what we saw. The next day, on the front page of our small hometown paper, it said it had received several calls. The explanation they gave was that the local airport was testing aircraft. I'm not sure how much I believe that story because of what I saw. To this day, whenever I see my friends that were there that night, we'll sometimes talk about it. None of us can be sure what we saw, but to this day, none of us have ever seen anything like it.